Hello. So I'm going to be discussing chapter 8 of Carol Dweck's growth mindset. I'd have to say after reading chapter 8, it just kind of um, it comes off as just like being the chapter that is kind of like starting to pull everything together. So Dweck starts off by like really kind of explaining growth mindset versus the fixed mindset and provides several different scenarios and different strategies that we can use in developing that growth mindset. But now as we get into chapter 8, we're now talking about changing mindsets. This chapter really resonated with me because it just kind of made me look at how when it started with children and how they become paralyzed by setbacks. And that is something that I see quite often in how it's associated with fixed mindset. How it makes them just kind of feel wrong. They feel like if they're wrong about something, they feel powerless and incapable. And I do see that a lot. So I appreciate attention being drawn to that and different ways that we can help kids when they encounter something wrong and approaching things with more so of a growth mindset. I also made a note here that stated through growing you can move differently and deposit differently. So based on when you are developing that growth mindset, why you don't just, like Dweck talked about, how it doesn't mean that you just the different thoughts that come to your head when you have the fixed mindset just goes away. What happens is with the growth mindset, those things just kind of find a way, they deposit themselves in. But what we choose to pull out that deposit box is based on whether we have that growth mindset or that fixed mindset. Another thing that really resonated with me, I did a lot of annotating in this particular chapter, but it's just, she just talked about mindsets frame the running account that takes place in people's heads. And it just made me realize that depending on the type of mindset that we have, it does influence how we perceive things. Because when we have that negative mindset, or I'm sorry, not negative mindset, fixed mindset, it really does kind of make us have those negative thoughts or negative responses to everything that happens, versus when we have that growth mindset. Even when it comes to how we perceive things and how we judge people, there's just a major difference between the two, between the two mindsets. I really enjoyed reading the mindset lectures too, and how Dweck's different lectures have really influenced different students and athletes, and how they kind of convert from having that fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Some things that really stood out to me too, that I'm really looking at, is opening yourself up to growth. And just looking at the different ways, like just for me, myself, is, how I can open myself up for growth. And I remember when I first applied to go into an administration program, I applied at the University of Southern Mississippi and was rejected. And I was just kind of like bamboozled, because I was like, okay, I thought I, had what it took. And at one point I was just kind of like, well, I guess it's just not meant to be. But I just eventually just kind of got back to that point where I was like, well, you know what? I know this is something that I want to accomplish. So I'm just going to have to, put in more work. And thank God that I did, because I ended up attending Mississippi College, and that's where I got my administrative degree through. And then eventually came back for the doctoral program. But it just goes to show that when I was more so in that fixed mindset, it was just like, oh, well, I didn't get accepted. I guess it's just not meant to be, versus that growth mindset. It's like, hey, stop crying over spilled milk. Let's get up and get it done. So I really appreciate chapter 8, and just learning different things that I can use and apply to my personal life to ensure that I am on the straight and narrow with having that growth mindset. And when there's setbacks that I do feel like it's coming, just knowing different steps that I can take to make sure that I make some type of comeback.